Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all today at the Prestigious Women's Club Christmas Breakfast event. It means a lot to us that you're all here today to know more about us and especially to get inspired by our speakers, Tatiana, Löttiger and Susanne Birgersdotter. We have a lot on our plate. This is why we have created Prestigious Women's Club, where a woman can take a break from our day-to-day life pressure and get to reflect and learn more and get the best out of ourselves by connecting with like-minded women. But also to give back to all of you, as you're all working hard and providing positively to our society. We want to make sure that remarkable women, as you all are, get rewarded for the remarkable work and impact you are having. This is why, for our members, we have created a new concept, where our members can first get connected online by a private LinkedIn group, where you will find all our prestigious Women's Club members. Also, regarding our exclusive events and experiences, our aim is to have one event every 2 months for the next year, where each event will be a well-thought journey and experience. And to benefit of all this, we have created an app where all our members will be able to access our upcoming events, experiences and offers for our members, where they will be given a digital members card to benefit and stay up to date with what is coming up in advance, book the events and get access to a wide range of exclusive experiences and offers such as escape, hotels, spa, mindfulness and many more that we get from our partners. Last but not least, we have created a new online platform and a print magazine that we send directly to our audience, that is 9,065 successful women in Stockholm, twice a year. And also an online platform where we share interviews and podcasts and all editorials. The goal for this platform is to share remarkable women's stories with in-depth interviews to learn more about women's exciting and inspiring journeys from how it all began, including business and lifestyle topic as well as chronics on philanthropy. And finally, the last, all our members are welcome to contact us if you have any important topics for a speech that you want to share with the rest of our members. We encourage you to make announcements when running projects or looking for business partners or support through our LinkedIn group, or share your story through our media platform. And now back to our key speakers. I am delighted to present our first speaker, Tatiana Löttiger, who is an international business lawyer from Colombia, living in Sweden. She also holds a master's from the US in the International Business and Trade from John Marshall Law School in Chicago, and master's in European law from Stockholm University. After 17 years of professional legal experience within the public and private sector, she decided to found her own company, Latin Desk Consulting. And a few months later, she also founded the International Women in Business Network at the Stockholm Chamber of Commerce. Tatiana is also a regular speaker at the Global Legal Skills Conference and is a mentor at the American Chamber of Commerce. Last but not least, she is the new chair for the advisory board of the prestigious Women's Club. Welcome, Tatiana.
Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine, for the kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. I am very excited to be here and talk to you, not only because we're successful and influential women, but because it's my first time ever talking about women empowerment and the challenges that it's facing. To give you a little bit of context, I grew up in Colombia, and family that is not your typical stereotype Colombian family, the one that you see maybe in Narcos movies and things like that. I grew up in a family of lawyers and intellectuals with a very powerful woman, and she was basically my first exposure to female empowerment. Since very early age, I saw her interacting with my father, her siblings, and she was kind of like the leader in the family. And she will always stood up for her sisters whenever they were having trouble with their marriages, colleagues. And it kind of set an example for me and for my sisters to speak up, to always have a voice, and to never feel less than a man. And that was basically the beginning, unconsciously, that I was being exposed to female empowerment back then. Then I went to law school in Bogota. She sent us to study away from home. I grew up in Cali. She was basically so strong that she was the anti-drug prosecutor against the Cali cartel, which finally ended up behind bars. But then she knew that Cali was too dangerous for us. And at the time in the 90s, Bogota was like a calm place to study. And that's when I went to law school, in a very traditional 1600s law school where women have to wear suits and pantyhose, and I was from Cali, warm, hot, salsa dancer, very loud, and I found my best friends today from this law school, and I knew it was different. That was my first exposure to cultural intelligence, basically, because I embraced differences. I knew I was different. I knew I was louder than my colleagues, my peers at law school. And this was something that was always supported by, we know you're from Cali, but come, be part of our group. So I always experienced, very luckily, being in power, and they taught me, in Bogota we do like this, we do like that. So then, then you learn that you respect differences, but you must adapt. Otherwise, you will never fit in without losing who you are, basically. Then I moved to have my first job, and it was as a legal advisor for the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Colombia. There, I learned even more about cultural intelligence because they taught me how to negotiate with different cultures, and even told me that I was not allowed to negotiate at certain tables with certain countries because I was a woman. But it was okay for me. I respect that. In the diplomatic world, they teach you, with these countries you cannot be there, so we'll send a female or a male negotiator. So that's fine. Then I went on and I moved to the US. There I also found fantastic mentors, men and women. But then what happened when I moved to Sweden? The challenges started. I was called by the Colombian ambassador to help him set up the Colombian Swedish Chamber of Commerce. And I was appointed as the vice president of the board of directors of this chamber. The first year, I was very excited and very happy, and of course, I was heavily pregnant, and I was at the same time doing a master's at Stockholm University. And one girl at Stockholm University, on my way out to the tunnelbana, and she handed me over a pamphlet, and she was from the feminist party. And I said, do I look like a feminist? I'm sorry, I'm not from the feminist party. And then I went on. Oh, today I'm a feminist. Today, it's like, you need to become part of this movement. And at the time I didn't know how important it was. Because you see, in Colombia, many don't know this, but we women are majority in Latin America by gender. 65, 60% are women, and in the corporate world, women are well represented. There is no need for us to bridge any gaps with men. Men are actually discriminated against. If you see a job ad, that job ad will say, female lawyer needed, female dentist needed. The crisis in Venezuela, who are the ones that are leaving the country? Women, because those women will be hired, not men. Men might be considered dangerous. Men might be considered they would spend the money in, things that they're not supposed to. So, going back to running this chamber, I was sadly at the General Assembly in front of all our members. And I decided to vote against an event that was going to happen because that event represented that we will have to spend 70% of our money, our budget. So I voted against it. And a Swedish businessman in his 60s, in front of everyone, told me, your vote should just not count. You're a dramatic woman. You just go by the book, and in Sweden things just work differently. I don't remember, to be honest, what did I say, how did I react. But what I do remember is the next day, the very next day, I was invited to a power lunch at Burns, organized by 85 Broads, an online network from New York, from Wall Street. And the guest speaker that day was Beth Topolowski. And Beth is actually living in Sweden. She is the director of the mentorship program at American Chamber of Commerce in Stockholm. And the subject that day, by chance, was women on board, women in the boardroom. So at the end of her presentation, of course I shared my story. I was in disbelief, I didn't know what to do, and I told her, this first time in my life, I am not mentored by a man. I am not supported. I was humiliated in public. What do I do now? How do I face the members? And these men went ahead and they just did the event. I'm going to resign. And then she said, no, you're not going to resign. This is your baby. This is your chamber. You founded it. And you need to take your power back. So then it hit me. No wonder there's a feminist party in Sweden. No wonder. You need to have that. You need to have women representing you, because I'm not saying that we don't have men that will humiliate and treat women badly in Colombia. Of course they are, of course, but not to this level. I mean, it's not that common that you will find a man telling you off, calling you names in a board meeting. I haven't seen that in the US, I haven't seen that in Colombia, in Spain, I haven't. But it happened to me, and so from that moment on, I continue. I finished my 3 years term with the chamber as a board member. And then what happened with this experience is that I always, from any bad experience I have, I turn it into something positive. So I became an advocate for business culture etiquette, to teach businessmen and including businesswomen how to behave when they go to countries like in Latin America, Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, Argentina, and to understand that there are also very high-powered women there that maybe they don't think about. And it was a presentation that helped many. Then it was adapted for law students and the Global Legal Skills Conference that I attend every year. But then, funny enough, 2 years later, when I was in Verona in Italy, giving this presentation about business etiquette in a law firm, a lawyer told me, oh God, if I just listened to this presentation 3 months ago, and he was from Sweden, by the way, not from Italy, he was from Sweden, I should have won that deal with this Brazilian CEO. But it didn't went well because I questioned her authority. I told her, are you sure you are the one that should sign this agreement? Just guess what happened? Of course she made it harder for him. The Swedes need that business in Brazil. There were so many others pitching for that one. See, but it's again, cultural intelligence. That's the challenge as well. And I suggest that women get cultural intelligence. That only gives you power, how to behave with other cultures. If you have companies with international teams, to make them work better. So to end my presentation today, I have to say this is the first time I talk about this, but I do this and I became an advocate for female empowerment because it became personal to me. And I hope the message that you take today is be attentive. pay attention to the behavior of what women are doing, and of course all the employees, but especially women. And as Helen Baker from the Stockholm Fashion District was telling us on Friday, she had set a set of rules for women. And one of her rules are, always when I ask you to recommend someone for this new opening, please bring first a woman name. Bring someone that is a female, because women tend to recommend men whenever there's a new opening. So that's one of her rules. And what I would say is foster an environment of kindness and ask your employees when they are under-delivering, underperforming, not you're underperforming, you're doing bad. You're underperforming, what is wrong with you? Maybe that person, at this moment, maybe you have employees that are suffering what I did suffer. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana, for this inspiring speech. And now, I'm delighted to present you our second key speaker, Susanne Birgersdotter, is a Swedish self-made serial entrepreneur and investor who has gone from designing her first app from the kitchen table to becoming a partner in the VC company Milky Way Cap within 7 years. Suzanne's strong instinct and intuition have helped her grow her companies, including designing the first ranked app and founding iGotcha, Stockholm App Lab, and SPTM. She is an active mentor and member on several boards, and a popular global speaker giving lectures and workshops on entrepreneurship and ventures capital. Susanne is also a TEDx speaker and was nominated for Sweden's Most Powerful Female Founder in 2017 and 2018.
Thank you. When I started my first tech company, it's now 8 years ago. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, and I never worked in IT before. But my daughter came home and she had a really hard time learning her math table. And of course, I was looking for an app to her. And I couldn't find one. So I decided that I was going to make one on my own. So I Googled how to make an app. Yes, it's true, I did. When I did that, I could see that you can actually make an app if you are talking to people all over the world. And it's a place called Upwork. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's when you're hiring people, not from Sweden. So I hired a programmer from Ukraine, a developer from Nepal, and a girl who was sketching everything from Poland. And together we were designing this app for my daughter. And we did that from my kitchen table, Skyping every night, and talked about how should we do this app. 3 months after that, we had an app on App Store, Kids Matthew, and that was amazing. I mean, since I didn't know anything about apps, I was like, I have an app now. And of course, I wanted to do something more with that. So I did about 40 more apps in 1 year from the kitchen table, together with the same team. And people were asking me, so how come that you are making 14 more apps? Why don't you just have one app and trying to make money out of that one? It's because I wanted to have an app company. And if you are going to have a company, you need to know everything about all the apps. So I made like the math app, a car app, a card app, game apps, so many different apps. And after that, my programmer in Ukraine, he called me and he said, can I come to Sweden? And I said, of course you can. And we will try to hire you. And we did. And we made an app that wasn't health app before we made this iGotcha app. And why I have to tell you about the health diet app, because that was the one who was ranked first place on App Store. And that was a friend of mine, she called me. And she said, you have to turn the TV on because it's a diet on TV. And I was like, do you really think I should go on a diet? And she was like, no, you have to listen to this diet. So I did, and this was the 5-2 health diet. And when I was listening to this guy talking on TV, he said that he was coming to Sweden, and he was going to launch his book in Swedish in August. And the first thing I thought about was, does this guy have an app? And he didn't. So I made the 5-2 health diet app, and the same day he landed on Stockholm Arlanda, I pressed enter, and we launched the Fight to Die tab. And we had over several of hundreds downloads every day. And I was in the front, Expressen magazine, on the front page 4 times that month. Because they thought I was a health expert. Here in Sweden, the papers can make you an expert of everything, or anything, if they want to. And the funny part here is that they actually called me when I was in the subway, and they were like, okay, so can you give us the best smoothie recipe? And I was like, okay, strawberries, some bananas, and just mix it, and they were like, oh, okay, that's nice. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's perfect. But what I did was also, I started this Susan's Health Club in US, online, and I hired bloggers that was writing about health and workout and healthy food. I'm like, I'm looking at you now. And then, of course, I was also promoting the app on that website. And when you have an app on App Store, you're looking at it every day, of course. Because you want to see if it's like on 120 or on 1,000, or where is the app, and how much money am I making. And one day, it was on number 10. And number 10 on App Store, that's like, wow, I'm doing this from the kitchen table. I don't even have a team here. So I was really proud of myself. And then the second day, it was in the first place in App Store. And today, when I think about that, it's like when I say to myself sometimes that maybe I shouldn't be an entrepreneur, what have I done? I'm like, okay, you made an app that went to the first place in App Store from the kitchen table, and you had no clue on how making apps. But, as always, any good story have a bad story behind. And when you also have an app on App Store, you need to read fine lines. Who does that? I mean, every time you get a document, it's like 85 pages, and you just scroll it down and you say, I agree. I did that. At that time, I was working with an agency in US, and they were marketing the app for me. And at this time, I was in France with my husband, and my father called me Saturday morning, and he said, like, you are in the paper again. I was like, wow, this is going so good now. And that Monday, I was supposed to be in Stockholm, and I was going to be speaking in front of lots of people in Kungsträdgården about the app, the health app. And I was, as usual, going into the App Store and looking at the app, and the app was gone. And I was like, okay, I have to do it again. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. And then I was like, okay, so what happens with my money now? I have to go into my account. That account didn't exist. And that was because I had been working with an agency in US that I wasn't allowed to work with. In that 85 pages somewhere, it said you can't work with this and this kind of companies. So Apple, they shut down my app, and they took all my money. And they were gone for 1.5 years. So you can imagine me traveling home to Sweden, having this big speech on Monday, talking about the app. And it was 300 women, and they were like, we can't find your app. And I was like, you know, internet. Something's wrong. And I have to take the app, of course, and put it into another account. But this is, I mean, the power that Apple had over me. And I tried to call them. You can't call Apple. You know, you can't like even email them. So that took me 1.5 years, and I had to do it all over again. And at this time now, I hired this guy from Ukraine. And he came to Sweden with his family, and he stayed in my house for a couple of weeks. That was crazy. But we did it, and we were sitting at the same kitchen table, and we talked about like, okay, so now we had an app on the first place in App Store. We can do this. What's the next big thing? And then he said, like, maybe we should do a game. Oh, I don't know anything about games. And he was like, you don't know anything about apps either, so you can do a game. Okay, so what kind of game should we do? An app game. Okay, maybe we should do something that you can walk around with your phone. Like, location-based maybe. We're like, yeah, maybe location-based. Like Monopoly. If you're like walking on Strandvägen and this is a hotel high, I own the hotel and you only have a coffee shop. You have to give me the money. Like, yeah, maybe we should do that. And we started to think about it. Making a game like that, you can't do that on me and Dimitri. So we needed to And if we need a bigger team, we need to have money. So this was the next step for me, meeting investors. More with this. So I started a number of different companies after that. And I could be standing here like for hours and telling you about this story, but I'm not going to do that. But today I'm writing a book about this. And I'm going to read for be more open with each other and tear many of those walls down. When we share our experience, when we are open with ourselves, and when we welcome others into our lives, we don't only help them, we help ourselves. We are all connected in some way. Whatever we are talking about the global economy, Fortune 500 companies, small businesses, or personal relationships.